So I either had the live action Moana screening in Orlando where I lived, or I can go 200 miles south to see the Evil Dead Burn screening in Fort Lauderdale. Obviously, I did the rational thing. Sorry, Dwayne. Hey guys, welcome to my Evil Dead Burn movie review that I will be keeping spoiler free. I want to go over a lot of the good that this movie has, and also without spoiling anything, bring up a real creative decision that changes the tone of this movie, and you probably should know before going into this. And stay till the end when I rate this using my super sophisticated 5-star rating system. And just so you know guys, I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, dude. I love this entire franchise. This franchise never really has a bad film, and last night was special, being able to watch this in the iconic Savor Cinema, which was like a church converted into a theater. Really freaking creepy, awesome vibe. They gave us shirts, buttons, even glow sticks. So yeah, it felt very like red carpet treatment. Now, into the movie itself, dude, let's just get the obvious out of the way. This movie looks good. Yes, it's got a real great color palette going on, and the look does feel a little bit David Fincher in some parts, which is a huge compliment. And right off the bat, dude, without going into detail, this movie starts and you're just like, yes, like Evil Dead is back and it's awesome. And after that, it takes a while to get going again. You could have shaved about 15 minutes off this movie. But even in that while it takes to get going, you don't mind because it's interesting. This movie talks a lot about just like the loss of loved ones, how different people grieve, but also abusive relationships, like physically abusive relationships. And not just the scars you physically get from being in them, but also the mental scars you get even after the relationships are done. And this is handled very well. There's like a huge weird family dynamic thing going on. And there's actually one perfect scene that's at a table that I'm not going to get into where they're just discussing things, man. And you see how different things affect different people. So this movie really does try to give you layers, and it's great that way. Also, it brings in some humor in these moments, and normally you would think throw in humor in a serious moment and it just like deflates the whole tension of the situation. This movie actually puts in the humor very well, and it works. And all these characters, they do bring great performances. Nobody really takes the day off here, bro. Everybody really does, their best in this, especially our lead, which does a great freaking job, dude. I don't want to get into it too much. Also, the gore here is awesome, dude. Yes, it's not the bloodiest Evil Dead film, but there's a brutality to this that's great. And you get those brutality moments where, like, if you're with a crowd and it happens and you're like, oh, and you're like, that's so much fun, dude. There's some great scenes here. It's not constant, like maybe like an Evil Dead Rise or some other Evil Dead movies, because there are those moments, but they're kind of spaced out. And again, you don't mind too much because the story itself is good, it's compelling, and it is a good movie. Now, the problem is they did something a little bit different here as far as like the way Deadites act, or who are even the Deadites in this movie. And I don't want to get into it, but let's just say it's not just your basic Deadites. To me, that is the best part about this freaking franchise, because the Deadites are like playful and they're kind of messing with you and fucking with you, and they're like, hee and all that shit. I'm like, bro, I can freaking eat this shit up all day. It's awesome. And it's just, it gives the Evil Dead movies that personality. That's really lacking here. A lot, to the point where this doesn't really feel that much like an Evil Dead movie at times. Main villain, no detail. I'm thinking more 28 Days Later with a little bit of 30 Days a Night than I am Evil Dead. And there is a Deadite that definitely does the Evil Dead thing. The problem is their little funny moments are all in the trailer. And it's like, oh, so you're having the gore, you're having all this stuff, but it's not having that Deadite fun, which, bro, after we just did Evil Dead Rise, which, by the way, to me, had the greatest Deadite in the entire franchise, that mom, bro, she played that shit amazingly, where you saw every moment she was being weird, like you would look through the peephole and she was like that, and I could eat that shit up all day. And here, you kind of don't have that. There's not that playfulness. And it's kind of weird because, to be honest with you, Lee Cronin, who did Evil Dead Rise, he did a movie this year called The Mummy, which a lot of people didn't like that movie. I love that movie as an Evil Dead movie, not as a mummy movie. As a mummy movie, that shit sucked. Here, this guy who's a director, he's bringing new stuff into this franchise, but that new stuff is old shit in other movies. So it just kind of feels out of place. And at the end, it's almost like Lee Cronin and the guy that directed this, who I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to fuck that up. It's all weird. It's like they went into the wrong sets when they were at the studio and filmed movies for the wrong fucking franchises. That's what it's like, because Lee Cronin's Mummy is way more playful and fun than this. Okay, Evil Dead Burn is not a bad movie. It's not a horrible movie, but it's the first Evil Dead where the villains are kind of dull. Oh, and there's also a character that I'm not going to get into that is like right out of freaking Event Horizon. And yes, it feels out of place too. And that's where we're going with this, bro. Yes. Guys, in the end, Evil Dead Burn was not a bad movie. I mean, it's just kind of a weird Evil Dead movie, but like you're still going to have fun with it. And yeah. Guys, what's your favorite Evil Dead movie in the franchise? Let me know in the comments. Actually, freaking rank the shit. Why not? Also, I do movie reviews and freaking trailer reactions with my kid. Please like, subscribe, whatever. Hit that bell for notifications. And thanks for watching.